Greetings and salutations, everyone! My name is Fire Mage, and welcome back to Rimworld Ascension Take 2, Episode 56. If you enjoy this episode, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, mod list is down in the description. And with that, let's get on to the episode. Alright, picking up where we left off last time, what are my plans for today? Well, today, we are going to war. We are going to go attack the Blight Society. Specifically, we are going to go to the town that was once known as Tusla and is now known as Gottheded, or however you pronounce that, and we will be killing them. However, there are some things we need to do for that. I have realized we don't actually have any sort of transport for the war caskets, which means we are going to need to make some more vehicles. Now, I'm thinking a highwayman is what we will go with. A very simple infantry fighting vehicle. The idea with this is, obviously, it can have a driver, a gunner, and a passenger. So, the gunner and passenger can be the war caskets, the driver can be one of our other colonists, and then once we get to the battlefield, the driver swaps into the gunner's position, and it basically just becomes a little bit more cover. So that is the first thing we're going to put on the list. There we go. And on top of that, we also need more chem fuel. We only have a total of 40 in the colony right now, which is not nearly enough. So we're going to need to work on getting some more of that. Let's also put on the list, just so I don't forget, attack Tusla. That way, you know, I don't end up forgetting it on one of my other projects. So while we work on getting the fuel needed for the tank, let's also go ahead and start upgrading it. Specifically, we need to put armor on it, as, believe it or not, the tank has less armor than a war casket, and not by an insignificant amount either. A tank only has, if I remember correctly from reading the mod description, about 56 armor, give or take, and our war caskets have 200% armor, so need to give the tank a little bit more in order to make it competitively viable. Of course, that's not the only construction project we will be working on, as it is time for us to do another prison upgrade. Specifically, it is time for us to upgrade it from slate to concrete, simply so that it is uniform with the other buildings. And on top of upgrading it to concrete, there are a few more changes I want to make. For instance, I want to replace the doors with cell doors, which cannot be attacked by prisoners. This should allow us to... that should give us a little extra time, should they try to break out. So hopefully that will be beneficial and not just a waste of resources. We will also now be going into something that is purely for aesthetic reasons, but if we are going to be going to war, we are going to need a flag. And that is another thing we shall now be building. Specifically, we will build one right here, just to see how that looks. And my idea with the flags is we will obviously put a few up around the base for aesthetic reasons, but also anytime we attack a settlement specifically, we will bring a flag, and should we be victorious, we will plant a flag there. This doesn't have any actual mechanical benefits, it's purely for style purposes, but I think it will be quite fun either way. And the roadkill has been fueled. Let's go ahead and get that underway so that we can go ahead and start setting up the highwayman to be built. And we'll just park the roadkill right here. There we go. And that is all we needed to do for that. Set the upgrade back up. And now we can go ahead and place the highwayman in here to be built. And there we go. The prison wall and door upgrade is finished. But that is not all I want to do here. as I think it is finally time to give our prisoners a small little hint of comfort in the form of some end tables. So, those end tables should make their rooms a little bit more comfortable. Not a lot, but enough, hopefully. Of course, we now have to deal with all of these slate blocks that are blocking my doors, but we should be able to haul that up here and turn it all into concrete. Speaking of constructions, I just saw them finish the armor upgrade. Very good. Next up, let's do an engine cover, so that the engine doesn't get shot out if the enemy somehow gets behind our tank. It'd be kind of counterintuitive if they shot out the engine. Anyway, moving to a different area of the base for a moment, the guest houses have been finished, or at least the fancy ones have, and the old ones have been successfully torn down. And that means it is time to set up the last of our guest houses, the uber cheap barracks, or I suppose it'd be more apt to say the apartment complex. Now, this won't be anything fancy. Quite the opposite, really. It is meant to be very cheap, very basic, and overall not that fancy. So a little something like this is all we will be doing, just so that there is something here. And we'll give it just a little bit of shape so that it's not super boring and ugly. And then we will do paved tiles. And once that is done, we will be able to check off the update guest houses and remove it from the list. Of course, that's not the only houses we need to build, as currently one of our guest houses is actually occupied by Baskling. We, in fact, need to build some more actual houses, which is something we will be getting to right now. As, since the quarry got finished, we should be able to fit some more houses in here. Or at least that's what I would say if this Mechanoid cluster was not in my way. Alright, in that case, let's get one of our people here to go ahead and start dismantling this, so that we don't have to worry about it. Okay, and apparently the ancient mech thing explodes when you break it. That's mildly scary. And we also now have access to a Mechanoid transponder. Probably won't be doing anything with that, but we have the option now, which is pretty cool. And more importantly, we now have access to all of this space, which means we are going to be able to build some more houses. And I think we should be able to get about 3 houses squeezed in here if we do it right. It'll be a bit of a tight fit, but it should work out just fine. Do a little something like this. And there we go. 3 more houses all ready to be built. Unfortunately, their floors will have to wait, apparently, as we do still need to clear out the quarried soil. But more importantly, we were able to squeeze 3 houses in there, which will be very good for the future, seeing as we are rapidly running out of space to put houses. Oh, and it appears that our constructors have finished the flagpole at some point. Very cool. Now the question, how do we actually use it? But that's going to have to wait, as we just got a trader from the Pact of Verbonlia. Let's go ahead, Beller Rose, go get on the trading outfit, and we will go see if they have any goodies for us today. Alright, let's see what this bulk goods trader has. Right off the bat, they do have more cloth, which we will purchase, as well as some more industrial ammo. Can never go wrong buying more of that stuff. and a few books. Are any of them interesting? This one is Empathy and Knighthood, Social and Melee. Well, I don't see a reason not to grab that one. This one is Pure Recreation, but that is still useful, and this one is Social. And it would appear that at some point our double-aged whiskey was produced, which is 40 silver a bottle. Not bad. I like to see that. Almost at market value. But we will not be selling that off just yet. Instead, let's go ahead and sell off all of these outfits that we have just laying around, that we no longer need, as they are old and raggedy, as they say. Clear out the storage a little bit there. And let's see, what else do they have that we might want? Let's see, they do have some animals, nothing of too much interest. So I think we will simply sell off a bit of our leathers and call that a successful trade. There we go, exactly 973 silver, which is all they have to offer. And that is a good trade. In fact, that is the best trade, one might even say. And now, Bella Rose, go get back into your work outfit, and we'll send someone to haul all those goodies momentarily. There it is. Nuclear Dawn has been researched, and that now allows us to make nuclear weapons. But that's going to have to wait a bit, because it's going to require a lot of infrastructure. And what we're going to do instead, despite the fact that I said I wasn't going to, is War Casket weaponry. Now, why am I doing this? Simple. I actually went and checked out the mod page, and it turns out the War Casket minigun is significantly better than the charge blasters we're currently using. So I have no reason to be using those. So we will instead be researching the weapons and making miniguns. Plus, if I'm being entirely honest, they just look way cooler, and that is part of the reason why I am doing it. And there it is. Our Highwayman. And that is the final vehicle we need to go to war. But, of course, we are not quite done yet, as we need to prepare a few other things before we can go. First of all, the flag has been built, so we need to design our flag. We will simply be using my channel icon as our glorious flag. Now, it will need a little bit of work in order to make sure everything is centered and whatnot. There we go. Our flag has been officialized. And now we have that over here by the dining hall. And we'll put a few more up around the base eventually, but not quite yet. Now that that is done, however, there is the next order of business. That being nuclear power. Turns out it's actually remarkably affordable, and more importantly, generates 10,000 power, which I believe is actually more than our entire grid produces right now, or at the very least pretty close to it. So we're definitely going to be doing that, but that is going to have to wait for the future, so we'll simply put it on the list. And in line with nuclear power, of course, is nuclear weapons. Wouldn't do to just have power, after all. Alright, and the Highwayman has been rearmed and refueled. Only needs a little bit more fuel, but we can go ahead and start getting our attack squad ready. Now, obviously, Sam will be going with us with the anti-material rifle. White will be getting one of our heavy autoloader rifles. And other than that, we will simply be equipping as needed. I will be trying to take only people who have half-decent shooting skills, but bit of a luxury in this colony. Not a lot of our people are actually very good at shooting, unfortunately. There we go. All of our guns are fully loaded, and our attack squad is at the ready. And that means it is time for us to set up our attack caravan. Now, the Scythemen will be driven by Sam, and the other Scythemen will actually be driven by Wiggy. And unfortunately for Wiggy, we do not have any spare equipment, so they'll just get what they have. As for everyone else, they can simply start piling into the trucks. And then, of course, the Highwayman will get the 2 war caskets. And I suppose we can have Rivera drive the war caskets into battle. And finally, the roadkill tank will be driven by German. Should keep German out of danger while still allowing him to contribute to the fight. As for equipment, we will be taking our cheese so that we have food to eat, our herbal medicine so that we don't all die horrifically, and I suppose we should probably bring our ammunition just in case we need to reload our weapons while in the field. Then we set up our target, the old town of Tusla, and our teams will now begin getting ready to go and kick some butt. Oh, and before we forget, because I did almost forget, we need to grab a flag. That means we're actually going to have to build one. We will do a tall flag so that we can show off just how cool we are. Let's go ahead, get that built real quick before everyone heads out. And there we go. Our glorious flag is finished. Now all we have to do is uninstall it and then have the best carry it. And now, when we inevitably win our glorious victory, we will be able to plant a flag to show just how cool we are. Of course, we still need to finish loading the caravan, but once that is done, the war is on. And the caravan is off. Our first full assault is on the way. Honestly, might be a little overkill, but we'll just have to wait and see if it is or not. And there it is, just as I suspected, war casket weaponry is finished before they even get to the settlement we are attacking. And that means that we are going to have to pick our next project, and I think we will be going with heavy artillery, which will require us to turn the ENIAC back on. But with that, we can now get to work on researching some interesting options. Not entirely sure how good they will all be, but at least we'll be able to have the option, see if it's worth it. We have now arrived at the fallen settlement of Tusla, and right off the bat, looks like there are quite a few people. But we've faced bigger odds than this, and we faced them without a metric ton of very scary vehicles. Speaking of which, our vehicles appear to have all decided to cram together for some reason. Little strange on that. But that is no big deal. We can simply set our vehicles to move like so, and get them all into position. Oh, and it appears the enemy is, in fact, attacking us from a distance. Interesting. How are they doing that? Oh. Mortars. That they are apparently loading rocks into. I feel like that's not how that's supposed to work. But it's what's happening. Ah, and they straight up knocked our highwayman out of the fight already by knocking out the engine and apparently critically injuring Baskling. Lovely. Alright. Well, Baskling, please move up here. Same with Reaper. Looks like we are going to be starting our fight a little early. Let's go ahead, get all of our infantry into positions, and begin our bombardment of them. So we'll be firing one barrage, let's say here, and another barrage here. There go our first two barrages. Let's see how well that does. And while those are off, let's make sure we get our infantry at least somewhat behind cover using the vehicles. Ah, and they are now attacking. Our artillery seems to have been somewhat successful. And by somewhat, I mean very. Let's prepare to fire another barrage. Let's do one right here. And another one right here. Gotta account for travel time of the rockets. Alright, we have successfully damaged them. War Caskets, initiate siege mode. Ah, and it would actually seem that the roadkill is out of fuel because it got its fuel tank blown out. Lovely. Alright, let's have a couple of our guys go stand behind the War Caskets, use them as shields. Not a bad idea, and then you get back here. Excellent. You know what? Let's fire another rocket barrage. Just in case. It might cause the Scytheman to explode, but that is a risk I am willing to take. If we can weaken the enemy just a bit more. And we'll fire this last one up here to try to knock out those mortars. Or at the very least, weaken them a little bit. Because they are terrifyingly accurate. And the enemy is fleeing. We have won to victory. And that includes a section of their mortar team retreating. Alright, War Caskets, you're up. Go ahead, start pushing forward. Just gonna give you the auto move order. We'll have Baskling move here, Reaper move here. Just start walking through the... Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, probably not a good idea to just waltz through the town, seeing as, I don't know how I missed it, there is a uranium slug turret in there. That can and will blow up everything that we send near it. Not ideal. Oh, and apparently they're trying to retreat past our infantry. That's not the smartest plan. Looks like this gal has the right idea. Using tox gas against my War Caskets. Alright. Let's go ahead and now... You know what? I'm going to send another rocket barrage at these guys. If they have the audacity to continue attacking me, they have the audacity to be hit with a rocket salvo. And we'll fire another one right here just for good measure. We hit literally everything but our targets, of course. Well, I think the first thing we need to do, set up some temporary hospital beds for our injured. Alright, there we go. Some basic beds for the injured people. We will leave behind Blackjack to start doing the tending. As for everyone else, he will begin pushing inwards, towards the enemy. Now, we're going to need to be careful about this, as they have a lot of turrets set up in very inconvenient locations. Actually, I forgot we have someone who can cast invisibility. And I have a kind of sneaky idea with that. We have frag grenades. I think what we do is we cast invisibility, and we just book it to the batteries and blow them up. In theory, that should disable their power network. Maybe. Depends on how many power banks they have stored away. But that is exactly what we are going to do. White, I'm going to have you go ahead and start running up, while everyone else can just go about doing whatever it is they need to do. Alright. White has successfully begun the infiltration mission. I think the first batteries we're going to need to go for are these ones. They're also the easiest to get to. I don't have to waste my invisibility. Oh, never mind. There is, in fact, a singular turret right there. But it is pretty weak. So I should, if I'm sneaky about it, be able to sneak right up and shoot it. You know, for being an anti-Mechanoid rifle, that thing kind of sucks. Just huck a grenade at it. You know what, Reaper? Why don't you start walking around this way? And here we are, the batteries. Go ahead. Huck a grenade at that. Oh, there's another turret right there. Didn't even see that one. Grenade. Remarkably durable. Another grenade. Finally. Okay. We have finally destroyed that stupid turret. White, I need you to actually start tending to self. You're about to bleed out. Alright, and that is one battery bank destroyed. Now we need to be sneaky, because we have to get up to this one. But in order to get there from here, we gotta cross either the autocannon or the uranium slug turret, and neither of those sound very fun to fight. Doesn't seem to have been enough, though, to knock them out. Looks like the invisibility should last for 15 seconds. That should be enough. Alright, start running, White. Oh, it is definitely not enough. Alright, get to right here. Cast it again. Reaper. Grenade barrage. Wow, that guy just has no care in the world for running past Reaper. Anyway, back to hucking more grenades. You know, I was just looking at the uranium slug turret. I don't even think it can penetrate Reaper's armor. It only has an armor penetration of 82%. Reaper should, in theory at least, be able to survive that. Well, the range shield belt certainly ate it. And here we go. The last of the mortar crews shall be eradicated. There we go. And with that, all we have to do now is finish clearing out the base of all of these turrets. And that was the last of the turrets, which means we now get to do the super fun job of searching the entire settlement, which will take a minute. In terms of injuries, we have actually sustained quite a bit, mostly from the mortar that was firing rocks at us, which made no sense. And we did unfortunately lose all the artillery shells that were here due to the autocannon explosion. But that's not too big of a loss, given the potential loot that is in here. And Reaper will be the one to find it. Looks like this is some sort of food storage. Makes sense given the airlock design here. That is a kitchen, of course. An armory, chock full of some rather tasty looking guns. Another armory. Apparently these guys liked their armories. Another armory. Another armory. Well, let's go ahead. We are definitely taking all of these mortars. At the very least, we can deconstruct them. We will deconstruct the generators and the drop pods and their launchers. And we will unforbid everything. And hopefully, we can get everything loaded up here directly. And there it is, the flag of the Neobecker Nation, flying proud above the very much blown up remnants of Tuzla. We might have gone a little overkill with the rocket artillery, but it certainly worked. It softened the enemy up real good. You know what? Instead of waiting for the deconstruction, I think we are just going to go ahead and pack up and head on back home. Unless, of course, you can't send the caravan because your trucks are broken. Well, in that case, since we are going to have to take some time to repair those, I will be leaving this episode off here. Made a lot of good progress, and we have proven that our weapons work. And our strategy also works, unless the enemy uses mortars to bombard us with rocks. Don't know what the deal with that was. I'm going to try to figure that out. But we did successfully avenge Tuzla, and we have, well, driven out the pirates. I wouldn't really say we've reclaimed it, since we kind of just blew everything up and are stealing everything, but we did avenge it. And we now have access to nuclear weapons, so next episode we'll be getting to work on that. With all that said and done, though, I will see you all in the next episode.